Hello everyone. I hope you are all doing well. So let's do one more Satsang. Ya kundendu tushar har dhavala, ya shubhra vastravrita, ya veena vardand mandit kara, ya shvet padmasana, ya brahmachyut shankar prabhritibhi devai sada vandita samam patu saraswati bhagvati nishes jangyapaha. So I hope you are doing well. So today let's talk about this topic. It's a big mystery, which is Sahaja Samadhi. Sahaja Samadhi. Today we are going to really understand Sahaja Samadhi thanks to Sri Ramakrishna and Ma Sharda, because Sri Ramakrishna has left everything for us. We just have to mine it out of the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna. Everything is there. So first of all, Sahaja Samadhi is a big mystery. We just don't know much about it. So I'm going to put description, few links. So in one video link you will see, it's about 8-minute video by someone, and I think it's a good summary. That's why I'm putting that link in. It's a good summary of the current understanding of Sahaja Samadhi. Now, typically it falls into two buckets. One answer is we don't know, and by we means like no one knows. They try to describe it as a state of enlightened masters like Ramana Maharshi and all, but they don't know what actually it is. And the second bucket is we are all in Sahaja Samadhi. If we just live our life like we are living right now, that is Sahaja Samadhi. That's an absolute bogus concept. But anyhow, so those are the two buckets. So because we don't know what exactly it is, it allows all kind of people, smart people, wicked people, to do a lot with this idea of Sahaja Samadhi. Because I have been doing a bit of a research on, what is out there on Sahaja Samadhi. It's incredible. There's so many Sahaja Yoga. There was this spiritual teacher in 80s, 90s, Nirmala Devi, and she was teaching this Sahaja Yoga where you have to put your hand on your head. Then you go in Samadhi. But the most wicked idea, the most wicked use of Sahaja Samadhi that I came across is by this art of living, this Ravi Shankar. No, I should be saying Sri Sri Ravi Shankar. But why Sri Sri? Why not like 5 times Sri? Sri 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 Ravi Shankar. I mean, this is ridiculous. I was just blown away by what I found. When I went on to, I googled Sahaja Samadhi, and the first link was their art of living. And when I went on the website, it says Sahaja Samadhi, and with the letter R in the circle, that means it's a trademark. So Sahaja Samadhi has been commercially trademarked by Art of Living in the USA. And then, these days, I just used AI, Bard, Google Bard. It took me less than a minute. I just asked Bard to find out the details about this trademark on Sahaja Samadhi. And within few seconds, Bard came back to me with the answer. And this is just incredible. And this trademark is still active and valid. And they took this trademark in 2002. And you know what this trademark on is? They can use Sahaja Samadhi for chemicals for manufacturing perfumes, cosmetics, other toilet preparations, soaps, detergents, cleaning preparations, laundry use, pharmaceuticals, advertising, business management, retail services, entertainment services, education. See, everything but spirituality. So they have brought this down to selling laundry supplies under Sahaja Samadhi, cleaning preparations. See, this is the condition of our spiritual scene. And that is why Sri Ramakrishna's work had just begun. It had just begun. So we have to clean this up. We have to clean this up. And how are we going to clean this up? We are going to clean this up with the right information provided to us by Sri Ramakrishna. And this art of living, Sri Ravi, I don't want to use Sri Ravi Shankar because I cannot. That man does not deserve any respect if he's using Sahaja Samadhi as a business trademark to sell laundry supplies in the USA. Everyone has to know that. That man deserves no respect. Yes, I mean, he's Brahman too. As Sri Ramakrishna used to say, sometime he used to apply, Brahman attitude to deal with wicked people. He used to force himself to see Brahman in the wicked too, and that's how, he coped with it. It was a coping mechanism. So I'm using that coping mechanism. But this is not acceptable. This is not acceptable. So this gives us, and beyond this is like one of the most wicked situation I saw around Sahaja Samadhi. And beyond that, there is a lot of misinformation. There is no end to it. So today, we are going to dive deep and going to really understand what exactly is Sahaja Samadhi. And before I do that, I tell you this, something very important. See, like all of us, I was also very curious many years ago, 6 years ago or something, about the Sahaja Samadhi, and did not find any satisfactory answer. But then I got the best answer, and that was amazing. And for that best answer, I had to drive 600 miles. So I drove 600 miles to go and talk to Swami Sarvpriyananda. The world knows Swami Sarvpriyananda today. He's an amazing teacher. And I asked him a simple question, what is Sahaja Samadhi? And he gave me an answer, which is the best answer I have ever found. Until that date I had ever found. It solved all my problem. His answer was very simple, just few words. It happens like Sahaja Samadhi happens after Samadhi. And when I heard that answer, it solved all my problem. Because that is the truth. And when we hear the truth, it just gives us tremendous amount of satisfaction. It also tells us, what to do next. Unless one gets Samadhi, it's absolutely waste of time to even think about or trying to understand or trying to figure out what is Sahaja Samadhi. So that's why, I consider that answer the best answer. And it gave me tremendous peace, just those few words, and it solved all my problems. Because I was very curious. My problem is I was very, very curious, just like most of the people, because there is just no answer. So, driving those 600 miles was highly worth it. And it's no surprise that people fly across the world to go and meet Sarvpriyananda just for a few minutes, because he's amazing. He's amazing. Anyhow, so that was the best answer that I had received. But starting today, this answer is coming from Sri Ramakrishna. It's out there. in the gospel. And this is the answer for Sahaja Samadhi. And I'm talking about this because we need to fight this menace of this corruption in our Vedic spiritual tradition, by all kind of Sris. We just have to focus on 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 Sris: Sri Ramakrishna, Sri Chaitanya, Sri Ramanuja, Sri Shankaracharya, maybe Sri Madhvacharya. And especially when you see double Sri, that's a big, big red sign. Anyhow, so let's dive right into it. So what is Sahaja Samadhi? And how do we get there? What exactly it is? So first answer is, it happens after Samadhi. After Samadhi. It's not a normal state of living, normal state of peaceful, mindful, observing, living. It's not that. It's a special height, extreme height, or the ultimate height of spirituality. And it happens after tremendous practice, after one achieves Nirvikal Samadhi. I'm going to talk in another video about what happens after Samadhi, Nirvikal Samadhi. When I say Samadhi, I always mean Chetan Nirvikalp Samadhi, when one realizes in full consciousness as Aham Brahmasmi Satchitananda. So that is a very interesting topic, like what to do, how should one live life, what happens after Samadhi. Because again, there is a lot of misinformation out there. It confuses the hell out of people. But that is for another video. In this one, let's focus on Sahaja Samadhi. So after one achieves Samadhi, one has to practice for a long time to get to a point when there is a redesign of one's causal body, not subtle but causal body, which again manifests back into subtle body and then into the physical body. So we are going to see the life of Sri Ramakrishna, Mahasarda, an event in the life of Brahmananda, which was the spiritual son of Sri Ramakrishna, Ramana Maharshi, and Jesus Christ. So let's look at this first. What happens? Sri Ramakrishna says in the Gospel, and also perhaps, I don't remember exact location, in the biography of Ramakrishna by, I'm blanking out on the name, by his disciple, the big book, Leela Charitra. So there are 3 things there. One is, Sri Ramakrishna says in a very cryptic way in Gospel that, look, it feels like after Samadhi, he means, it feels like everything is finished, everything is done, there is nothing more to be done. But then a big storm comes, and then he doesn't explain anything, So just he says that there's a big storm comes, and that's it. That means there is a big event that takes place in one's body, one's internal body. Second, he says at other place that if one maintains, I think, celibacy, and especially he talks about celibacy for 12 years, then one develops a new nadi, a new channel in one's subtle body, and that allows one to know everything. Okay? So that's the second point. And third point, at some place, I think this one is not in the Gospel, but it's in the biography by Shardananda. Now I remember, Swami Shardananda, that he mentions that at some point during his practice, something like a long string came out of his body through one of his, I don't remember, one of his openings in the body. And it was a long string, and it really worried him. And then he says some kind of a cryptic answer that Mathur Babu, who was the son-in-law of the temple owner, told him some childlike answer that it's going to just remove all kind of desire, sensual desire from your body. But it's a very big event. It's a very big event. So that's why Sri Ramakrishna is mentioning it there and just leaving it there. So three things, right? It's long string-like things coming out of the body. A big event, much bigger than samadhi. It's like a big storm. It like shakes you up completely from inside. Third, a long 12 years of maintaining absolute celibacy and also practice. And if you notice, Sri Ramakrishna, I think did intense practice for 12 years. Intense practice for 12 years. So what happens is, see, during, after samadhi, one has to maintain oneself, like in the internal body, at just below samadhi level. That's what Sri Ramakrishna said, bhava mukh, in terms like he had to stay continuously, at fifth or sixth center in the subtle body for a long period of time, 12 years. And when one does that for such a long period of time, there is a real redesign of the body, redesign of the causal body. And that does something amazing. And what that happens, I'll talk in another video in more detail. But what happens is, look, our causal body is like a big puzzle. Think about like sleeping bag that people carry. It's like a round sleeping bag which is placed inside the cover and it's tightened by a string. It's very light. And when people open it up, it can become 6-7 feet long. People can comfortably sleep in it. Then one has to roll it back up again and put in the cover, which is a pain in the neck. So that's how our causal body is. It's like a puzzle. People can, but intense practice for a long period of time, people can maybe once or twice, manage to open those strings and get out. But then the mechanism to keep it locked so that, we have billions of jivas around is very, very strong. That locking mechanism is very strong. So that needs to be changed. That needs to be altered, redesigned. See, Sri Ramakrishna says at some point that, look, and this subtle body is like a magician who has 8 ropes and puts all kind of knots and then gives people to, hey, can you open it? People try. They are not able to open it. But magicians just pulls one end of the rope and all the knots come open. So that knot, that magician is the God, is Sri Ramakrishna. So that's why we have to love Sri Ramakrishna. We have to love Chaitanya. We have to love Jagdamba. We have to love Shiva, Ganesha, Hanuman, whatever works. Because, Sri Ramakrishna can just pull a little bit one end and the whole thing will come open. So that's the reason for loving Sri Ramakrishna. But if one doesn't want to do it, it's a tremendous amount of work from inside of that bag, inside of the subtle body, causal body, to open it up and get free. But it's possible. It's just like a puzzle. But what happens if one does that 12 years of intense practice at a very high level with absolute celibacy? See, sometimes puzzles have, if you solve the puzzle, you feel like, if I had just one extra shot, then I could easily crack this puzzle. So that's what happens. As Sri Ramakrishna says, after 12 years, a new channel is created. A new channel is opened up. Like that one long string coming out of Sri Ramakrishna's body, that was creation of one new channel. And once you have one extra channel, like one extra shot in a game of golf, then you can just open that puzzle anytime. It becomes very, very easy. Then what happens is, then even when that avatar is staying in this subtle body, one gets the key in one's own hand. They can get in and out. They can get in and out whenever they wish. Then they become avatar in a true sense. In true sense. Before then, they know that they come from some other place, but they don't have the capacity to live in and out, in and out. So when that event happens, when get to a point when they can get in and out, like you literally have to redo the body at the very causal level. That's a big event. And that happens in pretty much everybody's life, every avatar's life. So in Ramakrishna's event, we don't know exactly when that happened. But he did say that there is a big storm that happens. We see in Ramana Maharshi's life, when he was about 32, it's about 16 years after his first enlightenment, like first death, people say, incident. He had a second death. But that people don't understand what happened. He literally left the body and came back in. And it was more like a test. Because see, Ramana Maharshi stayed quiet for 11 years until 1905, I think, or 1907. Yeah, 1907. And after, see what happens, after 11 years, you get to a point where you have opened the door. The opening is there now, between here and there. But it's not big enough. But at that point, you can start to be more active. So at that time, Ramana Maharshi started to talk a little bit, started to become more active. But it took him another 5 years to get to a point where he can really get in and out. And you see, after that second death event, he became a lot more active, a lot more engaged with, other people, devotees and all. Same we see in the life of Jesus. We know that there's no history of 12 years of his life. We don't know, no one knows. I don't know. But my guess is somewhere, no one knows, for 12 years, he had to do intense austerity. Every avatar has to do it. It's just the way this game is designed. So see, that's the Sahaja Samadhi. Sahaja Samadhi is more like, after Samadhi, you do intense practice. Stay almost in Samadhi state for 12 years, 11, 12 years. And continue to pray, whoever your God is. And as a result, with the grace, your body, your subtle body, almost at the causal level gets redesigned. You get extra channel, which allows you to have the key in your own hand. That means you can stay in this body, in this world, and you can get out anytime you want. You can come here, go back, come here, go back. So that is another level. Sri Ramakrishna is at a different level. Sri Ramakrishna is at a very, very different level than Ramana Maharshi. Because in case of Sri Ramakrishna, it was not just a window, it was like highway. So it was very hard for him to keep his mind in this loka, in this world. So that is something interesting. That is Sahaja Samadhi. Sahaja Samadhi is probably not worth spending one's time on. It's nice to have it, nice to talk about nice places that one can visit, but one has to have enough money to pay for the fare, right? So one has to do tremendous practice first to get to the Samadhi state first. And then, remember, another 12 years of intense practice, then we get to Sahaja Samadhi. Now, bringing in Masarda and Brahmanand. So, Masarda, people don't talk about how much spiritual practice Masarda did. But she did tremendous amount of practice, and at some point she reached that state too. So she was totally in communication with the other world where she and Sri Ramakrishna came from. See, at some point, her family members were tormenting her a lot, her brother and sister-in-laws, like whole family was quite annoying, to be nice to them. And one time probably they really made her really mad. So she said, look, you guys don't torment me too much, because if he who lives in this body gets mad, then no one can save you. Brahma, Vishnu, Mahesh, no one can save you. So see, why was she using he who lives in this body? And before Sri Ramakrishna passed away, he had given similar advice to Hridaya that don't insult Ma Sarda too much, because if she who lives in that body and gets mad, then no one can save you. You see, Sri Ramakrishna is using she, Ma Sarda is using he. So what Sri Ramakrishna meant was actually Ma Sarda, where she comes from, right? Because she was still in that body. But when Ma Sarda is saying he who lives in the body, it's a big thing. So what it means is, because when she went into Sahaja Samadhi literally means creating a connecting highway, a big, not Wi-Fi, but fiber cable connection between this body here in this world. So remember, Purnamadah Purnamidam, to the player who is behind this NPC in that world. And then as in today's video games, people can play on other players' account. It's easy that someone else can take on other person's character. So literally what it meant was, even though it was body of Ma Sarda here, the Atma inside, the player in that loka, behind that Ma Sarda here was Sri Ramakrishna. So that's why sometimes people used to see with amazement that Ma Sarda is talking like Sri Ramakrishna used to talk, or she's walking like Sri Ramakrishna used to walk. People don't understand what's going on, but I'm telling you what was going on. That's exactly how it works. Similarly, we see in the life of Brahmananda. Brahmananda was also in that state. So he used to be in Samadhi all the time. And Sri Ramakrishna used to use Brahmananda's body also to be here, grace disciples, devotees. So at some point, Brahmananda was in Samadhi, and I think Premananda was calling all the young brahmachari and monks that, hey, come here, get the grace, a blessing of Brahmananda. So in the end, when some brahmachari or monk was rushing, and by then the game was over, Brahmananda said, jo aaya tha wo chala gaya. The one who had come has gone back. It's a very mystical, mysterious thing, but who had come and how did someone came into the subtle body of Brahmananda? It was Ramakrishna. That's exactly it works. See, what's given in the Vedas is the truth that our body is just like a chariot, and Atman, soul, is the traveler in the chariot. And it's possible, not possible, it's clear, right, from these examples that traveler can leave the chariot and go back, or even travelers could switch from one chariot to another. So that is Sahaja Samadhi. It's very important to understand what happens after Samadhi. But we'll talk more about that in another video. See, now that we understand what exactly Sahaja Samadhi is, now you understand why, I am somewhat frustrated with what Vivekananda did with the monk of that order. See, he made it almost impossible, not almost, impossible for the monk of Sri Ramakrishna order to get to the state of Sahaja Samadhi. Even getting to Samadhi is very difficult, because you know why? He made them work 12, 14, 15 hours a day, at least 10 hours a day, until they are age 70 or something. It's not possible for them to get into Sahaja Samadhi. They can dream of, but they cannot. It's a very simple step. First, get to Nirvikal Samadhi, then stay in that near Samadhi-like state like Ma Sarda did, like Sri Ramakrishna did, like Ramana Maharshi did, like Swami Brahmanand did, for 12 years. And then you will have a shot at Sahaja Samadhi. See, that's why other disciples of Sri Ramakrishna didn't really pay much attention to what Vivekananda had to say. Because I'm not trying to insult Vivekananda. I'm just trying to be helpful to people to understand that just because he got the spiritual power from Sri Ramakrishna, that doesn't mean that he knew everything or understood everything. In many ways, what I'm doing right now and what we have to do now, this should have been done by Vivekananda. So we are trying to, I will have to do his work, because he ended up doing something which is very rajasic, which is social service. But here is the good news. Sri Ramakrishna is still around. We just have to go to the fourth center, Anahat center, and he becomes accessible. And the second good news is, he is building, the Paramhansa is building that Paramhansa, the Paramhansa ki Pulton, the platoon of the Paramhansa. Sri Ramakrishna used to roam in the rich quarters of Calcutta with all these babus and rich landlords who used to get paid by the British colonial power. And Sri Ramakrishna used to roam in those neighborhoods with his, young, enthusiastic disciples. And people used to be definitely pissed off, some of them. And Sri Ramakrishna used to say, "Sala kehta kya hai? Paramhansa ki Pulton aa rahi hai. The platoon of Paramhansa is coming." People don't understand how cool, how bindas Sri Ramakrishna was, and what he did for India, and what he did for Vedic tradition. People are shy to talk about this, but we talk about him. But we have not seen anyone like him since Chaitanya. And that should not be surprising, because the Krishna who came as Chaitanya came again as Sri Ramakrishna. But here is the good news. Ramakrishna said that he will come back after 200 to 300 years. So I guess, I don't know. I'm just doing the math. Maybe another 50 years, 200 years. And it's clear to me that he has started his work again. He is building his platoon again. You just go around and see. Swami Sarvapriyananda, Swami Medhananda. Of course, among the senior ones, you have Swami Chetanananda, Swami Atmagyanananda, even in the nuns, Divyanand Prana, Pravrajika Divyanand Prana, Swami Vimohananda in Vancouver, Canada. See, one by one, you see, all these people are not ordinary. Don't take them as ordinary. They all come from somewhere else. And Ramakrishna is building his Pulton again. His work cannot stop. And all these Sris and Sris, their time is over. See, now AI can, poll kholna, right, in Hindi, can open up everything within a minute, not even 1 minute. So that's why I'm super excited, and I wanted to share this, what Sahaja Samadhi is. This is the answer given to us by Sri Ramakrishna. We don't have to be confused anymore. We don't have to listen to some bogus answer from people who have ulterior motives. This is the answer. Okay, so I'll talk in another video about a very important topic of what happens after Samadhi. And look, if people who are listening to this video who belong to Ramakrishna Much or Ramakrishna Mission, look, I have highest reverence, highest respect and deep love for monk in general, and especially the monk of that Ramakrishna order. But in general, I have deep respect and love for monk, because I think they are the best of the humans. But when I criticize or do critical review of Vivekananda's work, I feel like it is being done way too late. It should have been done maybe, 80 years, 90 years from earlier. And there is nothing personal against him. He's still a great monk. I deeply respect him. But his work and his decisions and even his philosophical written work need to be criticized with fresh set of eyes, with right information. And I'm going to do it. So don't feel hurt. As Sri Ramakrishna said, currency of one era doesn't work in the next era, And I love to say, Gaudpad, we are not in Kansas anymore. We are not in Kansas anymore. The Ramakrishna is building his Pulton again. So we have to move forward. We have to move forward. So I'm going to end this one. I'm going to end this one with this Purnamada, if I remember. See, this world that we are living in, it's a virtual reality but very sentient. And it's not photorealistic. It's not audio realistic. It's life realistic. So the life here is exactly like life there. And that's why it's such an interesting game, and that's why it's such a difficult game to play. And that's why, once one is playing this game, and make sure there should be no confusion. All of us are NPCs. There's no one is special. But some of us become special when and if there is a player behind that NPC in the other game, but that's not enough. There has to be an established connection so that the player here knows that there is a player behind. That's called Ishwar Koti. Ishwar means controller. Literally, Ishwar means controller. So if an NPC has a controlling player in the other world, then that NPC becomes a bit different. But that is not just by that person has to establish that connection, and that requires tremendous practice. See, being an avatar, it's not easy. You have to be like Sri Ramakrishna, Jesus, or Ma Sharda, Ramana Maharshi, Brahmanand, for 12 years of samadhi. Samadhi means almost do nothing, just stay merged, your mind on the fifth or sixth center. It's not that easy. That's why they are special, very, very special. So I'm going to try to chant this and we'll end it, if I remember. Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Yeah, Purn here and Purn there, it's life realistic. It's life realistic. Exact copy, very similar copy. It's amazing. Okay, so we'll talk again after some time. I hope you guys are all doing well. Take care, enjoy your summer, and we'll talk again. Okay then? Alright then, bye. Let's see if got recorded or not. Let's see.